Jealousy, it's that uneasy feeling that creeps in when you scroll through social media and see someone's seemingly perfect life, or when a coworker gets the promotion you've been working toward. It's an emotion we've all felt, but rarely do we stop to ask why it takes such a strong hold on us. The Stoics, ancient philosophers known for their practical wisdom, saw jealousy not as a simple emotion, but as a distortion of desire, a sign that we're overly attached to things outside our control. Epictetus once said, "Some things are within our power while others are not." And jealousy, at its core, is about focusing on what we can't control: other people's lives, their successes, their possessions. But what if we could reframe jealousy not as a source of pain, but as a mirror reflecting where we might need to grow? In this video, we'll explore how Stoic thought and self-awareness can help us untangle the roots of jealousy, shift our focus inward, and cultivate a sense of inner peace. Together, we'll uncover practical tools to transform this challenging emotion into an opportunity for deeper understanding and personal growth. Let's begin. Why do we feel jealous, and what does it reveal about our values? At first glance, jealousy might seem like a natural reaction, a gut response to seeing someone else succeed or possess something we desire. But the Stoics saw it differently. They believed that jealousy, like all emotions, is rooted in our judgments, not in the external world itself. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most famous Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." In other words, jealousy isn't about the person or thing you're coveting, it's about how you're choosing to interpret that situation. When we feel jealous, we're attaching our happiness to something outside our control, whether it's someone else's career, relationships, or material possessions. And the Stoics would argue that this attachment is what creates the pain, not the situation itself. Think about it this way. When you're scrolling through social media and see a friend's vacation photos, your jealousy isn't about the photos themselves. It's about the story you're telling yourself that their life is better, that you're somehow lacking, or that you'll only be happy if you have what they have. But here's the thing, those stories are just that, stories. They're judgments, not facts. The Stoics remind us that we have the power to question those judgments, to ask ourselves whether they're serving us or holding us back. Jealousy, then, becomes a signal, a flashing light pointing to where we might be placing too much importance on external things instead of focusing on what truly matters: our own character, our choices, and our ability to cultivate contentment from within. So the next time jealousy creeps in, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what do these feelings say about what I truly value? Are they revealing a deeper desire for growth, or are they simply distracting me from the path I'm already on? By reflecting on these questions, we can begin to untangle the roots of jealousy and use it as a tool for self-awareness rather than letting it control us. Jealousy often stems from focusing on what we cannot control. It's that nagging sense of unease that comes when we compare ourselves to others, fixating on their achievements, possessions, or even their social media highlight reels. The Stoics, however, had a powerful antidote to this kind of emotional turmoil: the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it simply: some things are within our power while others are not. At its core, this principle reminds us that our thoughts, actions, and judgments are within our control, but external events, like other people's successes or possessions, are not. When we tie our happiness to things outside our control, we set ourselves up for frustration and disappointment. Jealousy, then, is a sign that we've lost sight of this fundamental truth. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine you're at work and a colleague receives a promotion you've been hoping for. Your first reaction might be envy or even resentment. But here's the Stoic perspective: their promotion isn't within your control. What is within your control, however, is how you respond. You can choose to dwell on feelings of inadequacy, or you can redirect that energy towards self-improvement, perhaps by seeking feedback, refining your skills, or setting new goals. The key is to shift your focus from what you can't change to what you can. This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means acknowledging them and then choosing to act in a way that aligns with your values and long-term growth. So, what aspects of your jealousy are within your control? Start by asking yourself, what story am I telling myself about this situation? Are you assuming that someone else's success diminishes your own? Are you attaching your worth to external achievements? These are the kinds of questions that can help you reframe jealousy as a tool for self-awareness rather than a source of pain. By focusing on what's within your control, your thoughts, your actions, your growth, you can begin to loosen the grip of jealousy and cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace. The Stoics knew that true contentment comes not from external validation, but from mastering our own minds, and that's a power no one can take away from you. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, often spoke about the importance of emotional resilience. He believed that much of our suffering comes from our attachment to external outcomes, things like wealth, status, or the approval of others. In one of his letters, he wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." What he meant was that our minds have a tendency to amplify our fears, desires, and jealousies, turning them into sources of pain. But Seneca also offered a solution: cognitive detachment. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or cold. Rather, it's about learning to view external events, including the successes of others, with a sense of calm objectivity. By practicing cognitive detachment, we can begin to see that someone else's achievements don't diminish our own worth or potential. Let's take a closer look at how this works. Imagine you're scrolling through social media and you see a friend celebrating a major milestone. Maybe they've landed a dream job or bought a beautiful new home. Your first instinct might be to compare yourself, to feel a pang of envy or even self-doubt. But here's where cognitive detachment comes in. Instead of personalizing their success, you step back and remind yourself, this is their journey, not yours. Their achievements don't define your value or your path. The Stoics would encourage you to ask, what can I learn from this situation? Is there something here that inspires me? Or does it simply highlight where I might be placing too much importance on external validation? Seneca also reminds us that external goods, things like wealth, fame, or possessions, are fleeting. In his words, fortune gives us nothing which we can really own. This perspective helps us detach from the illusion that these things will bring lasting happiness. When we internalize this idea, it becomes easier to view others' successes with admiration rather than envy. We start to see that their wins don't take anything away from us. Instead, they offer an opportunity to reflect on our own goals and values without feeling threatened. So, how can you practice cognitive detachment in moments of envy? Start by noticing when jealousy arises and pause to examine the thoughts behind it. Ask yourself, am I attaching my happiness to something outside my control? What story am I telling myself about this situation? By bringing awareness to these patterns, you can begin to loosen their grip. Over time, this practice allows you to engage with the world more freely, without being weighed down by unnecessary comparisons or self-doubt. Cognitive detachment isn't about rejecting ambition or success, it's about freeing yourself from the emotional turbulence that often comes with them. And in doing so, you create space for deeper contentment and growth. What if jealousy is a sign that we're overlooking our own blessings? It's easy to get caught up in what we lack or what others have, but the Stoics remind us that true contentment often lies in recognizing what's already within our grasp. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. This simple yet profound idea highlights the Stoic emphasis on gratitude as a way to counteract jealousy. When we focus on what we already have rather than what we don't, we begin to see life through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. Gratitude then becomes a powerful tool for shifting our perspective and finding peace in the present moment. So how can we cultivate this sense of gratitude in our daily lives? One practical exercise the Stoics might recommend is journaling. Each day, take a few moments to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand or extraordinary. Simple things like a warm cup of coffee, a kind word from a friend, or even the chance to watch a sunrise can remind us of the beauty and richness already present in our lives. This practice helps train your mind to focus on the positives, gradually reducing the hold that jealousy or envy might have on you. Over time, you'll find that gratitude isn't just a fleeting emotion. It's a mindset, a way of seeing the world that fosters resilience and inner peace. But why does gratitude work so effectively against jealousy? Because it redirects our attention. Instead of fixating on what we lack or what others have, gratitude helps us appreciate what we possess, not just material things, but also our relationships, experiences, and even the challenges that shape us. The Stoics believed that every moment, no matter how ordinary, is an opportunity to practice gratitude and find meaning. By embracing this mindset, we can begin to see jealousy not as a flaw, but as a reminder to pause and reflect on the blessings we might be taking for granted. So let's take a moment to reflect. What are 3 things you're grateful for today? It could be something as simple as a moment of quiet, a lesson learned, or even the chance to grow through difficulty. By making gratitude a daily habit, we not only weaken the grip of jealousy, but also open ourselves to a deeper sense of fulfillment. The Stoics knew that real wealth isn't found in possessions or achievements. It's found in our ability to appreciate the present, no matter how humble or imperfect it may seem. And that's a gift we can all cultivate, one moment at a time. Comparison is the thief of joy, and the Stoics knew it. Long before this phrase became a modern-day mantra, Stoic philosophers like Epictetus were warning against the pitfalls of measuring ourselves against others. They understood that comparison, especially when driven by jealousy, distracts us from the real work of self-mastery. Epictetus put it bluntly: if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, the path to growth isn't about competing with others, it's about focusing on your own journey, even if it means letting go of what others think. But why is comparison so harmful, and how can we shift our perspective to make it work for us rather than against us? At its core, comparison is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can motivate us to strive for more, to push ourselves toward excellence. But more often than not, it becomes a source of frustration, envy, and self-doubt. The Stoics saw this clearly. They believed that when we compare ourselves to others, we're often measuring our internal struggles against someone else's external highlights. Think about it. When you see someone's success, you're not seeing the hours of effort, the failures, or the sacrifices they've made. You're seeing the polished result, and that incomplete picture can leave you feeling inadequate. But what if you could reframe comparison not as a competition, but as a source of inspiration? Here's a practical way to do that. Imagine you're watching a colleague give a flawless presentation. Your first thought might be, why can't I do that? Instead of letting that comparison spiral into self-criticism, try asking, what can I learn from them? Maybe they've mastered a skill you're still developing, or perhaps they've found a way to manage their nerves that you could adopt. By shifting your focus from competition to curiosity, you turn comparison into a tool for growth rather than a trigger for jealousy. The Stoics would call this process a mindful attention to what you can control and improve in yourself. But here's the key: reframing comparison doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It's about acknowledging them and then choosing to respond in a way that aligns with your values. When you feel the sting of jealousy, pause and ask yourself, what's really driving this feeling? Is it a desire to grow, or is it a fear of falling behind? By digging into the root of your emotions, you can begin to channel them into something constructive. Instead of dwelling on what you lack, focus on what you can do to move forward. So, how can you turn comparison into motivation? Start by recognizing that everyone's path is unique. Just as you wouldn't compare a sprinter to a marathon runner, you can't measure your progress against someone else's. What matters is your own growth, your own journey. The next time you catch yourself comparing, take a step back. Ask yourself, what can I learn here? How can I use this moment to become better, not bitter? By embracing this mindset, you reclaim your power and turn what could have been a source of pain into an opportunity for progress. Comparison doesn't have to steal your joy. It can become a guide, pointing you toward the person you're capable of becoming. Jealousy dissolves when we embrace our own journey. This is the heart of Ammaphati, a Stoic concept that translates to love of fate. It's the idea that we should not just accept what happens in our lives, but truly embrace it, even the challenges, setbacks, and moments that feel unfair. Why? Because every experience, whether good or bad, is an opportunity for growth. The Stoics believed that resisting what we can't change only leads to suffering, while accepting it with an open heart allows us to find peace and meaning. Friedrich Nietzsche, who was deeply inspired by Stoic philosophy, captured this idea perfectly when he wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Ammaphati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." Think about it. When you feel jealous, what you're really doing is resisting your own path. You're wishing for someone else's life, someone else's success, instead of focusing on the unique journey you're on. But Ammaphati invites us to shift that mindset. It asks us to see every twist and turn, every high and low as part of a larger story, one that's shaping us into who we're meant to become. For example, imagine you didn't get the job you wanted. Instead of feeling bitter or envious of the person who did, you could choose to see it as a chance to explore new opportunities, to build resilience, or even to discover a path you hadn't considered before. This doesn't mean ignoring your disappointment, it means finding meaning in it. So, how can you practice Ammaphati in moments of envy? Start by pausing when jealousy arises and asking yourself, what can this moment teach me? Is it pointing me towards something I truly value, or is it simply highlighting where I'm resisting my own journey? Then try reframing the situation. Instead of saying, "Why don't I have what they have?" ask, "What's unique about my path and how can I make the most of it?" This shift in perspective doesn't just ease jealousy, it empowers you to take ownership of your life, to see every experience as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. The beauty of Ammaphati is that it doesn't ask us to pretend everything is perfect. It simply asks us to trust that even the imperfect moments are part of something greater. By embracing this mindset, we can let go of the need to compare ourselves to others and instead focus on cultivating gratitude for our own journey. After all, life isn't about having the same story as someone else, it's about writing your own, one chapter at a time. What triggers your jealousy and why? This is the question that lies at the heart of self-awareness, a crucial tool in the Stoic approach to overcoming envy. Jealousy doesn't just happen, it's a reaction, a signal pointing to something deeper within us. The Stoics believed that understanding ourselves is the first step toward mastering our emotions. As Seneca wisely put it, know thyself is not a mere command, it is a lifelong journey. This journey of self-awareness allows us to peel back the layers of our jealousy, revealing the hidden beliefs and insecurities that fuel it. By shining a light on these inner workings, we can begin to untangle the emotions that hold us back and move toward a more peaceful, grounded state of mind. So, how does self-awareness help us tackle jealousy? It starts with recognizing the patterns in our thoughts and emotions. Let's say you notice a recurring sense of envy every time a friend shares their achievements on social media. Instead of brushing it off or letting it fester, self-awareness invites you to pause and ask, what's really going on here? Are you feeling insecure about your own progress? Do you fear being left behind, or do you attach your worth to external validation? These questions aren't meant to judge or criticize. They're meant to help you understand yourself more deeply. Once you identify the root cause of your jealousy, you can begin to address it rather than letting it control your emotions. One practical way to cultivate self-awareness is through journaling. The Stoics were avid practitioners of this habit, using it as a tool to reflect on their thoughts, actions, and emotions. Imagine setting aside just 5 minutes each evening to write about moments when jealousy arose during the day. What triggered it? How did you respond? What thoughts or beliefs were running through your mind? Over time, this practice helps you spot recurring patterns and uncover the deeper fears or desires driving your envy. Journaling isn't about finding quick fixes. It's about creating space for honest self-reflection, allowing you to see yourself more clearly and compassionately. But self-awareness goes even deeper than identifying triggers. It also involves questioning the stories we tell ourselves. For example, if you feel jealous of a colleague's success, you might uncover a hidden belief that your worth is tied to your career achievements. This belief, once brought to light, can be examined and challenged. Is it really true that your value depends on external success? Or is there a more balanced, self-compassionate way to view your journey? By addressing these underlying beliefs, you can begin to loosen the grip of jealousy and replace it with a healthier, more empowering mindset. So, let's take a moment to reflect. What hidden beliefs might be fueling your jealousy? Are you comparing your behind-the-scenes struggles to someone else's highlight reel? Do you feel like you're not enough unless you meet certain external standards? These are the kinds of questions that self-awareness invites us to explore. And while the answers may not always be comfortable, they're essential for growth. By embracing self-awareness, we not only confront our jealousy, but also gain a deeper understanding of ourselves, one that empowers us to live with greater clarity, purpose, and peace. After all, as the Stoics teach us, the journey to overcoming jealousy begins not with changing others, but with understanding ourselves. The Stoics had a profound practice called Memento Mori, a Latin phrase meaning "remember you must die." At first glance, it might sound morbid, but this ancient reminder wasn't about fear or despair. Instead, it was a tool for grounding ourselves in the present and prioritizing what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, often reflected on this idea. In his personal writings, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." These words carry a powerful message. Life is fleeting, and when we truly grasp its brevity, petty concerns like jealousy begin to lose their grip. Why does reflecting on mortality have such a transformative effect? Because it forces us to confront what's essential. When we're caught up in envy, we're often fixated on trivial things, someone else's success, their possessions, or their social status. But Memento Mori pulls us out of that spiral, reminding us that none of those things last. In the grand scheme of things, they're fleeting, just like life itself. This realization shifts our focus from what we lack to what we can create and contribute during the time we have. Suddenly, the energy we once spent on jealousy can be redirected toward meaningful pursuits, relationships, passions, and personal growth. So how can we incorporate this practice into our lives? One simple exercise is to set aside a few moments each day to reflect on your mortality. It doesn't have to be a long or heavy meditation. Just take a quiet moment, perhaps in the morning or before bed, to remind yourself, this day could be my last. How do I want to live it? This isn't meant to instill fear, but to inspire clarity. When you approach your day with this mindset, trivial concerns fade into the background, and what truly matters comes into sharper focus. You might find yourself less bothered by someone else's success and more motivated to make the most of your own time and talents. Now let's pause and consider this. How does the awareness of mortality change your perspective on jealousy? When you think about the limited time you have, does it make sense to waste energy coveting what others have? Or does it inspire you to focus on what you can do, create, and experience while you're here? The Stoics believed that remembering our mortality isn't a morbid exercise, it's a call to live fully, authentically, and with purpose. It's about letting go of the things that don't serve us and embracing the things that do. In a world that often encourages us to compare and compete, Memento Mori offers a grounding counterbalance. It reminds us that life is too short to be consumed by envy. Instead, it invites us to live with intention, to cherish the moments we have, and to focus on what truly brings meaning to our existence. By embracing this practice, we can free ourselves from the grip of jealousy and step into a life that's not only richer but also more aligned with our deepest values. Jealousy often arises from unchecked desires. It's that restless craving for more success, more recognition, more possessions, that leaves us feeling dissatisfied and envious of others. The Stoics, however, saw a way out of this cycle through the virtue of temperance. Temperance, in Stoic philosophy, isn't about deprivation or self-denial, it's about moderation and balance. It's the practice of aligning our desires with what's truly meaningful, rather than letting them run wild and dictate our emotions. Epictetus put it this way: no man is free who is not master of himself. In other words, true freedom comes not from chasing every desire, but from mastering our appetites and finding contentment in what we already have. Think about how temperance applies to modern life. Take social media, for example. It's easy to fall into the trap of endless scrolling, comparing your life to the curated highlights of others. But temperance invites us to step back and ask, is this serving me? Am I using this tool in a way that aligns with my values, or am I letting it fuel envy and distraction? By setting boundaries, whether it's limiting screen time, unfollowing accounts that trigger comparison, or simply being more mindful of how you engage, you're practicing temperance. You're taking control of your desires rather than letting them control you. This doesn't mean cutting out all sources of inspiration or ambition. It's about finding a healthy balance, a middle ground where you can pursue your goals without becoming consumed by jealousy or discontent. The Stoics believed that temperance is a form of self-respect. It's about honoring your own well-being by choosing not to overindulge in thoughts, habits, or desires that pull you away from inner peace. When you practice temperance, you create space to focus on what truly matters, whether it's personal growth, meaningful relationships, or simply enjoying the present moment. So, how can temperance help you overcome envy? Start by reflecting on the areas of your life where desires might be running unchecked. Are there habits or patterns that leave you feeling restless or dissatisfied? Perhaps it's the constant need for validation, the urge to keep up with others, or the habit of comparing your journey to someone else's. By practicing temperance, you can begin to rein in these impulses, replacing them with a sense of balance and gratitude. It's not about suppressing your desires, it's about channeling them in a way that aligns with your values and long-term well-being. Temperance reminds us that true fulfillment doesn't come from having more, but from wanting less. It's about finding contentment in the present rather than chasing an endless stream of external goals. When you embrace this virtue, you'll find that jealousy loses its grip, replaced by a deeper sense of peace and purpose. So take a moment to ask yourself, how can temperance help you overcome envy? What small steps can you take today to bring more balance into your life? The answers might just lead you closer to the freedom and fulfillment the Stoics so wisely pursued. What if jealousy is just a matter of perspective? The Stoics believed that our emotions, including envy, are shaped not by events themselves, but by how we choose to view them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look at the stars and see yourself running with them. Imagine the changes and resettings of the elements as you look down from above." Such visions cleanse away the filth of life on the ground. His words remind us that stepping back and seeing things from a higher vantage point can transform how we experience life's challenges and even our jealousy. When we zoom out, the things that once seemed so important, so consuming, often shrink in significance. This shift in perspective is one of the most powerful tools the Stoics offer for overcoming envy. Imagine this: you're scrolling through social media and see a friend celebrating a major career milestone. Maybe they've just landed a dream job or published a book. Your first instinct might be to compare yourself, to feel that familiar pang of envy. But what if, instead of focusing on their success, you pause to consider the journey behind it? What struggles did they face to get there? What sacrifices did they make? When we take the time to see the full picture, not just the highlight reel, we begin to understand that success is rarely as effortless as it appears. This shift in perspective doesn't diminish their achievements. It simply reminds us that everyone's path is unique and that their victories don't detract from our own potential. The Stoics called this practice the view from above. It's about mentally stepping back, as if you were looking down at the world from a mountaintop or even from the stars. From this vantage point, the things that once seemed so urgent or overwhelming, like jealousy, start to lose their grip. You begin to see that the person you're envying is just one small part of a much larger tapestry. Their success, their possessions, their life, it's all part of a fleeting moment in the grand scheme of things. And when you realize how insignificant these comparisons are in the bigger picture, it becomes easier to let go of the envy that's been weighing you down. So how can you shift your perspective to reduce jealousy? Start by practicing the view from above. The next time envy creeps in, take a mental step back. Ask yourself, what's the bigger picture here? What might I not be seeing about this person's journey? What's truly important to me in the long run? These questions don't just help you reframe the situation, they also ground you in your own values and priorities. Over time, this practice helps you detach from the need to compare and instead focus on what matters most: your own growth, your own journey, and your own sense of purpose. Perspective taking isn't about dismissing your emotions or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to see things differently, to recognize that jealousy, like all emotions, is a lens through which we view the world. And when we adjust that lens, even just a little, we open ourselves up to a deeper sense of peace and clarity. The Stoics knew that true freedom comes not from changing the world around us, but from changing how we see it. And in doing so, we reclaim the power to live fully, authentically, and without the burden of envy. Picture this: you're sitting at your desk and a colleague announces they've just received a promotion, a role you've been working toward for months. Your first reaction might be a mix of disappointment and envy. But what if, instead of being caught off guard, you had already prepared yourself for this possibility? This is where the Stoic practice of Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils, comes into play. It's an ancient exercise that helps us anticipate challenges, setbacks, and even the successes of others, so we can face them with resilience rather than resentment. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, was a strong advocate of this practice. He wrote, "What is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster." In other words, it's not the event itself that hurts us, it's the shock of not being prepared for it. But how does anticipating challenges help us deal with jealousy? At its core, Premeditatio Malorum is about mental rehearsal. It's the act of imagining potential setbacks or difficult scenarios before they happen, so that when they do, we're not blindsided. For example, let's say you're working on a project and you know there's a chance someone else might get the credit or recognition. By mentally preparing for that outcome, you're not caught off guard if it happens. Instead of reacting with envy or frustration, you're able to respond with composure and focus on what you can control: your own effort, your own growth, and your own next steps. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you're scrolling through social media and a friend posts about a major achievement. Maybe they've just bought their dream home or landed a high-profile job. Without Premeditatio Malorum, your first reaction might be envy or even self-doubt. But if you've practiced this Stoic exercise, you've already considered the possibility that others might achieve things you haven't yet. You've reminded yourself that their success doesn't diminish your own journey. And because you've mentally rehearsed this scenario, you're able to respond with admiration rather than resentment, curiosity rather than comparison. So, how can Premeditatio Malorum help you face jealousy? Start by identifying situations where envy tends to arise. Is it when a colleague gets praised? When a friend shares good news? Once you've identified these triggers, take a moment to visualize them happening. Imagine the scenario in detail, how it might feel, what thoughts might arise, and how you'd like to respond. This mental preparation doesn't mean you're expecting the worst. It means you're equipping yourself to handle life's uncertainties with grace and clarity. Over time, this practice helps you build emotional resilience so that when challenges or comparisons arise, you're not derailed by them. Seneca's wisdom reminds us that life is full of ups and downs, and that preparing for the downs makes the ups all the more meaningful. By practicing Premeditatio Malorum, you're not just bracing yourself for adversity, you're reclaiming your power to respond to it with intention and strength. So the next time jealousy threatens to take hold, ask yourself, how can I prepare for this moment? How can I face it with courage, clarity, and compassion? The answer might just lie in this ancient Stoic practice, waiting to guide you toward a more peaceful and empowered way of living. Jealousy fades when we focus on being virtuous. The Stoics believed that virtue, living with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, is the highest good, the one thing that truly matters in life. Everything else, wealth, fame, success, pales in comparison. As Epictetus put it, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In other words, the path to overcoming jealousy begins with aligning your actions with your principles, rather than chasing external rewards or comparing yourself to others. When you live virtuously, you shift your focus from what others have to who you are becoming, and that shift is transformative. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine you're in a competitive work environment where promotions and recognition are highly sought after. It's easy to feel jealous when a colleague gets ahead, especially if you've been working just as hard. But what if, instead of fixating on their success, you focused on acting with integrity and excellence in your own role? What if you chose to collaborate rather than compete, to lift others up rather than tear them down? This is what virtuous living looks like in action. It's not about ignoring your ambition or pretending you don't want success. It's about pursuing it in a way that aligns with your values. When you act with integrity, you create a sense of inner harmony that jealousy can't easily disrupt. The Stoics believed that virtue is its own reward. When you live in accordance with principles like fairness, honesty, and humility, you cultivate a sense of self-respect that no external achievement can match. Think about it. If you've acted with integrity, even in the face of temptation or adversity, you've already won. No one can take that away from you, not even the person whose success might have sparked your envy. This is why virtue is such a powerful antidote to jealousy. It grounds you in what's truly within your control, rather than what's outside it. So how can you prioritize virtue over envy? Start by asking yourself, what kind of person do I want to be, not just in terms of achievements, but in terms of character? Do you want to be someone who lifts others up even when it's hard? Someone who acts with integrity even when no one is watching? These are the kinds of questions that can guide your actions and help you rise above petty comparisons. When you focus on being virtuous, you're not just overcoming jealousy. You're building a life of meaning and purpose, one principled choice at a time. And here's the beautiful part: virtuous living doesn't just benefit you, it ripples outward. When you act with integrity, you inspire others to do the same. When you choose collaboration over competition, you create a more positive, supportive environment for everyone. The Stoics knew that living virtuously isn't just about personal growth, it's about contributing to the greater good. So, the next time jealousy threatens to take hold, ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that reflects my highest values? The answer might just lead you to a deeper, more fulfilling way of living, one where jealousy has no place and virtue takes center stage. Jealousy thrives on the illusion that external goods bring happiness. We chase after possessions, status, and achievements, believing they'll fill some void within us. But the Stoics saw through this illusion. They believed that external things, wealth, fame, even health, are neither good nor bad in themselves. Instead, they're indifferent, meaning their value depends entirely on how we use them. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. His words remind us that while we can't control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. And that's where true power lies. The Stoics made a crucial distinction between what they called preferred and dispreferred indifference. Preferred indifference are things like health, wealth, and reputation, things we naturally prefer to have. Dispreferred indifference, on the other hand, are things like illness, poverty, or obscurity, things we'd rather avoid. But here's the key: neither category determines our happiness. They're tools, not goals. A Stoic might prefer to have good health, but they know that even without it, they can still live a meaningful, virtuous life. The same goes for wealth or status. These things can make life more comfortable, but they don't define who we are or how we should feel about ourselves. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you're at a gathering and someone arrives in a luxury car. Your first thought might be envy. Why don't I have that? But the Stoics would ask, does that car make them happier? Does it make them kinder, wiser, or more fulfilled? The answer, of course, is no. What truly matters isn't the car or the status it represents, but the person behind the wheel. Are they using their resources to help others, to grow, to contribute, or are they chasing hollow validation? By shifting your focus from the external to the internal, you begin to see that possessions and achievements are just tools, and that real fulfillment comes from how you use them, not from having them in the first place. This perspective isn't just philosophical, it's deeply practical. Think about the things that bring you the most joy in life. Is it your car, your job title, or your bank account? Or is it the moments you share with loved ones, the connections you build, the ways you contribute to something larger than yourself? The Stoics believed that relationships, virtue, and purpose are the true sources of happiness. External goods might make life more comfortable, but they can't replace the deep, lasting satisfaction that comes from living in alignment with your values. So let's take a moment to reflect. What external goods are you mistakenly valuing? Are you placing too much importance on possessions, status, or achievements, thinking they'll bring you happiness? Or are you focusing on what truly matters: your relationships, your growth, your ability to make a difference? The next time jealousy arises, pause and ask yourself, Is this envy rooted in something meaningful, or is it just an illusion? By questioning the value you place on external goods, you can begin to free yourself from their grip and focus on what truly enriches your life. The Stoics remind us that happiness isn't found in what we have, it's found in who we are and how we choose to live. And that's a truth no amount of wealth or status can ever take away. What if you lost the very thing you're jealous of others having? That's the provocative question at the heart of negative visualization, a powerful Stoic practice designed to help us appreciate what we already possess. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, captured the essence of this idea when he wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." His words remind us that much of our pain comes not from actual loss, but from our fear of losing what we have or our fixation on what we don't. Negative visualization invites us to confront those fears head-on, not to dwell in pessimism, but to cultivate gratitude and resilience in the face of life's uncertainties. Here's how it works. Take a moment to imagine losing something you value deeply, a relationship, a job, or even your health. Picture what life would be like without it. At first, this exercise might feel unsettling, but its purpose isn't to make you anxious. It's to help you recognize the impermanence of all things and, in doing so, appreciate them more fully. When we imagine losing what we have, we're reminded of how fortunate we are to have it in the first place. This shift in perspective doesn't just reduce our tendency to envy others, it also deepens our sense of gratitude for the present moment. Let's bring this into a real-life context. Suppose you're feeling envious of a friend who's just bought a beautiful new home. Instead of letting that envy fester, try practicing negative visualization. Imagine what it would be like to lose your own home, not to punish yourself, but to remind yourself of its value. How would you feel? What would you miss most? By engaging in this mental exercise, you might find yourself feeling more grateful for the roof over your head, the memories you've created there, and the security it provides. Suddenly, your friend's success doesn't feel like a threat. It becomes a reminder of your own blessings. So, how can negative visualization help you overcome jealousy? It's simple, by shifting your focus from what you lack to what you already have. When we take the time to appreciate our own lives, our relationships, our health, our opportunities, we're less likely to feel threatened by the successes of others. Envy thrives on the illusion that others have something we need to be happy. Negative visualization strips away that illusion, revealing the richness that's already present in our lives. It's not about denying your desires or ignoring your goals. It's about grounding yourself in gratitude so you can pursue those goals from a place of contentment rather than lack. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't require any special tools or circumstances. It's something you can do anytime, anywhere. The next time jealousy starts to creep in, pause and ask yourself, what if I lost what I'm envious of others having? How would that change my perspective? By practicing negative visualization, you're not just managing your emotions, you're training your mind to see the world with greater clarity, gratitude, and peace. And in doing so, you're taking a powerful step toward living a life free from the weight of envy. Jealousy isolates us from others. It builds walls where there could be bridges, creating an illusion of separation between us and those we envy. The Stoics, however, saw the world very differently. They believed in the fundamental interconnectedness of all people, a concept that runs counter to the divisive nature of jealousy. Marcus Aurelius, in his timeless wisdom, wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee." His words remind us that we're all part of a larger whole, and that harming others, whether through envy, resentment, or competition, ultimately harms ourselves. When we feel jealous, we're not just distancing ourselves from others, we're also cutting ourselves off from the sense of unity and shared purpose that gives life meaning. At its core, jealousy is a failure to recognize this shared humanity. It's easy to see someone else's success as a threat or a reminder of our own shortcomings. But what if, instead of viewing others as rivals, we saw them as allies? What if we recognized that their achievements don't diminish ours, but rather reflect the potential within all of us? The Stoics believed that every person is connected by a common thread of reason and purpose. When we embrace this perspective, jealousy begins to lose its power. It's no longer about me versus them, it becomes about us, a collective striving toward growth and fulfillment. Consider this: imagine you're part of a team working on a challenging project. One of your teammates excels, earning praise and recognition from the group. Instead of feeling envious, you could choose to celebrate their success, knowing that their victory contributes to the team's overall achievement. This shift in mindset doesn't just reduce jealousy, it fosters a sense of community and mutual support. The Stoics would argue that this is how we're meant to live, not in competition, but in collaboration, recognizing that each person's strengths and successes enrich the whole. So, how can you begin to see others as allies rather than rivals? Start by reflecting on the ways your own journey is intertwined with those around you. When someone achieves something you admire, ask yourself, what can I learn from them? How can their success inspire me to grow? By focusing on connection rather than comparison, you're not just overcoming jealousy, you're building relationships that uplift and empower both you and those around you. The Stoics remind us that true strength lies not in outshining others, but in lifting them up. And in doing so, we create a world where jealousy has no place and shared humanity takes center stage. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, left behind one of the most profound gifts to humanity, his personal journal, now known as Meditations. Written not for publication but as a private practice of self-reflection, his words reveal a man deeply committed to understanding himself and mastering his emotions. Through journaling, Marcus processed his thoughts, clarified his values, and confronted challenges including feelings of envy or jealousy with remarkable honesty. His example shows us that journaling isn't just a modern self-help trend. It's a timeless tool for emotional clarity and personal growth. So, how does journaling help us untangle the complex emotions tied to jealousy? Seneca, another Stoic giant, offered a clue when he wrote, "Assess yourself, examine yourself, exhort yourself." Journaling is a way to do exactly that, to step back, observe your thoughts, and examine the root causes of your feelings. When jealousy arises, it's often accompanied by a whirlwind of emotions: frustration, insecurity, even resentment. Writing about these feelings helps you slow down and unpack them, transforming a chaotic emotional storm into something you can understand and address. It's like holding up a mirror to your mind, allowing you to see more clearly what's driving your envy and how it might be influencing your behavior. Here's a practical way to start. The next time you feel jealous, grab a notebook or open a blank document on your device. Begin by describing the situation that triggered your envy. What happened? Who was involved? Then dig deeper. What thoughts or beliefs arose in that moment? Were you comparing yourself to someone else? Did you feel inadequate or overlooked? As you write, you might uncover patterns. Perhaps you tend to feel jealous in certain areas of your life, like your career or relationships. These insights are gold. They show you where your insecurities lie and where you might need to reframe your perspective or strengthen your self-worth. Let's take an example. Imagine you've just seen a friend's post about their recent promotion. Your initial reaction is envy, but instead of letting it simmer, you sit down to journal. You write, "I felt a pang of jealousy when I saw my friend's promotion. It made me question my own progress and feel like I'm falling behind." Then you dig deeper. Why do I feel this way? Is it because I tie my self-worth to my career achievements? Am I comparing my behind-the-scenes struggles to their highlight reel? By asking these questions, you're not just venting, you're engaging in a process of self-examination that can lead to real growth. Now, let's turn the question to you. What insights can journaling reveal about your jealousy? When you take the time to write about your feelings, you might discover hidden beliefs or fears that you weren't fully aware of. Maybe you'll notice that you're placing too much value on external validation, or that you're comparing yourself to an unrealistic standard. Journaling isn't about judging yourself, it's about understanding yourself. And in that understanding, you'll find the tools to transform jealousy from a source of pain into a catalyst for growth. The beauty of journaling is its simplicity. You don't need any special skills or tools, just a willingness to be honest with yourself. Over time, this practice can become a powerful habit, helping you navigate not just jealousy, but all the ups and downs of life with greater clarity and resilience. So, why not give it a try? Grab a pen, open your mind, and see what insights you uncover. The Stoics knew that self-awareness is the first step toward self-mastery, and journaling is one of the most effective ways to get there. What if humility is the antidote to envy? This might seem like a surprising idea, especially in a world that often celebrates pride and self-promotion. But the Stoics saw humility as a cornerstone of inner peace and contentment. For them, humility wasn't about putting yourself down or denying your worth. It was about recognizing your place in the grand scheme of things. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher, summed it up beautifully when he said, "If you wish to be a great man, think upon these things, how you may avoid being puffed up with pride." His words remind us that pride and jealousy often go hand in hand. When we inflate our sense of self-importance, we set ourselves up for envy because we're constantly comparing ourselves to others and feeling like we need to outshine them. Humility, on the other hand, allows us to step back and see ourselves as part of something larger, a vast, interconnected universe where everyone has their own unique role to play. Consider this. Imagine you're at a gathering and a friend shares exciting news about a recent accomplishment. Instead of feeling threatened or envious, you genuinely celebrate their success. This is humility in action, the ability to put aside your own ego and take joy in someone else's win. The Stoics believed that true contentment comes from recognizing that we're all on different paths, each with its own challenges and rewards. When we embrace this perspective, we free ourselves from the need to compete or compare. We can appreciate others' achievements without feeling like they diminish our own. So, how can humility help you overcome jealousy? Start by reflecting on your own place in the world. What unique gifts do you bring to the table? What challenges have shaped you, and how have they made you stronger? When you focus on your own journey, your own growth, your own contributions, you're less likely to feel threatened by others' successes. Humility allows you to see their wins as part of a larger tapestry, rather than as a reflection of your own worth. It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance, where there's enough room for everyone to thrive. Now, let's bring this into a practical context. Think about a time when you felt jealous of someone else's success. What if, instead of dwelling on that feeling, you chose to celebrate their achievement? What if you asked yourself, what can I learn from them? How can their success inspire me to grow? This shift in perspective doesn't just reduce jealousy, it fosters a sense of connection and mutual support. The Stoics remind us that we're all part of the same human family, and that each person's success enriches the whole. Humility doesn't mean denying your own aspirations or achievements. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't tied to outshining others, but to living in alignment with your values and contributing to the greater good. When you approach life with humility, you create space for gratitude, curiosity, and growth. So, the next time jealousy creeps in, pause and ask yourself, how can humility help me see this situation differently? How can I celebrate others' successes without losing sight of my own journey? The answer might just lead you to a deeper, more fulfilling way of living, one where envy has no place and humility takes center stage. Jealousy thrives in distraction. It pulls us away from the present moment, trapping us in a web of comparisons and what-ifs. The Stoics understood this well, and their teachings align closely with the practice of mindfulness, a way of staying grounded in the here and now. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." His words remind us that the only moment we truly have is this one. When we're fully present, jealousy loses its grip because we're no longer consumed by thoughts of what others have or what we lack. Instead, we're focused on what's right in front of us, free from the weight of envy and regret. At its core, mindfulness is about awareness. It's about noticing our thoughts and emotions without judgment, allowing us to see them for what they are, passing experiences, not permanent truth. When jealousy arises, mindfulness gives us the space to pause and observe it, rather than being swept away by it. Imagine this: you're at a social event and someone shares a story about their recent success. That familiar pang of envy starts to creep in. Instead of letting it take over, you take a deep breath and bring your attention to the present moment. You notice the feeling, acknowledge it, and let it pass like a cloud drifting across the sky. This simple act of mindfulness can be transformative, helping you regain control over your emotions and respond with clarity rather than reactivity. Here's a practical way to bring mindfulness into moments of envy. Try mindful breathing. The next time you feel jealousy rising, pause and take 3 slow, deliberate breaths. Focus on the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. Notice how your chest rises and falls, how your shoulders relax with each exhale. This practice doesn't just calm your mind, it brings you back to the present, where you can see the situation more clearly. By grounding yourself in the here and now, you create a buffer between your emotions and your actions, giving you the space to choose how you respond. So, how can mindfulness help you manage jealous feelings? It starts with awareness. When you're mindful, you're better equipped to recognize jealousy as it arises, to understand its triggers, and to let it go before it takes hold. Over time, this practice helps you cultivate a sense of inner calm, making it easier to navigate life's ups and downs without being overwhelmed by envy. The Stoics knew that true peace comes from mastering our minds, and mindfulness is a powerful tool for doing just that. By staying present, you're not just managing jealousy, you're reclaiming your power to live with intention and clarity. And in doing so, you're taking a step toward a life free from the weight of comparison and full of the richness of the present moment. Jealousy is resistance to what is. It's that clenched fist refusal to accept reality as it is, a futile fight against the natural flow of life. The Stoics, with their deep understanding of human nature, saw acceptance as a cornerstone of inner peace. Epictetus, one of their most influential teachers, put it plainly: "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish, but wish for everything to happen as it does, and you will go on well." In other words, the key to overcoming jealousy lies not in changing the world around us, but in changing how we relate to it. When we stop resisting what is and start embracing it, we free ourselves from the emotional turbulence that envy brings. Think about it, jealousy often arises when reality doesn't match our expectations. Maybe you've been passed over for a promotion, or a friend's success feels like a personal blow. In those moments, it's easy to fall into the trap of resisting what's happened, of wishing things were different. But the Stoics remind us that resistance only amplifies our suffering. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows us to meet life as it is with clarity and composure. It's not about giving up or settling. It's about recognizing that some things are beyond our control and choosing to focus on what we can do instead. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you've been working toward a goal, maybe it's a job, a relationship, or a personal project, and it doesn't turn out the way you hoped. Your first reaction might be frustration or even envy of those who seem to have what you want. But what if, instead of resisting the outcome, you accepted it as part of your journey? What if you saw it not as a failure, but as a stepping stone, a lesson that's preparing you for what's next? This shift in perspective doesn't just ease the sting of jealousy, it opens the door to growth and resilience. So, what can you accept to reduce your jealousy? Start by reflecting on the areas of your life where resistance might be holding you back. Are there expectations that no longer serve you, comparisons that drain your energy? By practicing acceptance, you're not just letting go of envy, you're reclaiming your power to live fully in the present, free from the weight of what could have been. The Stoics knew that true peace comes not from controlling the world, but from mastering our response to it, and that begins with acceptance of life, of others, and of ourselves. The Stoics placed immense value on the practice of daily reflection, a habit that served as a cornerstone for cultivating self-awareness and emotional resilience. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, was a firm believer in this ritual. Each evening, he would take time to review his day, asking himself questions like, "What bad habit have I cured today? What temptation have I resisted? How am I better?" This daily practice wasn't about self-criticism, it was about growth. By reflecting on his actions, thoughts, and emotions, Seneca sought to uncover patterns, learn from his mistakes, and strengthen his virtues. Modern life may feel worlds apart from ancient Rome, but the power of this practice remains just as relevant today, especially when it comes to understanding and overcoming jealousy. At its core, daily reflection is a tool for self-awareness. It allows us to step back and examine our thoughts and behaviors with a sense of curiosity and compassion. Think about it. Jealousy often arises in fleeting moments, triggered by a passing comment, a social media post, or a comparison we make in our mind. These moments can easily go unnoticed, buried under the busyness of the day. But when we take time to reflect, we bring them into the light, giving ourselves the opportunity to understand why they occurred and how we can respond more constructively in the future. Marcus Aurelius, in his private journal, wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." His words remind us that reflection is a chance to untangle the stories we tell ourselves, to question the judgments that fuel our envy, and to reclaim our power to choose how we respond. Let's bring this into a practical context. Imagine you've just finished a long day, and as you sit down to reflect, you recall a moment when jealousy crept in. Maybe it was during a meeting when a colleague received praise for a project you contributed to. Or perhaps it was while scrolling through social media and seeing a friend's vacation photos. Instead of brushing these feelings aside, you take a moment to explore them. What triggered your jealousy? What thoughts or beliefs were running through your mind in that moment? Were you comparing yourself to someone else? Did you feel inadequate or overlooked? By asking these questions, you're not just venting your emotions. You're engaging in a process of self-discovery that can lead to real growth. So, how can daily reflection help you tackle jealousy? Start by setting aside just 5 minutes at the end of each day to review your experiences. Ask yourself, what moments of envy arose today? What can I learn from them? Perhaps you'll notice patterns, times when you're more prone to jealousy, or situations that tend to trigger it. Maybe you'll uncover hidden beliefs about your worth or discover areas where you're placing too much importance on external validation. These insights are invaluable. They show you where you need to reframe your perspective, strengthen your self-worth, or shift your focus from comparison to gratitude. Daily reflection isn't about dwelling on your mistakes or beating yourself up for feeling jealous. It's about creating a space for honest self-examination, where you can identify areas for growth and celebrate your progress. Over time, this practice helps you build emotional resilience so that when jealousy arises, you're better equipped to handle it with clarity and compassion. So, as you reflect on today, ask yourself, what can I learn from my jealous feelings? How can I use this moment to grow and move forward? The answer might just lead you to a deeper understanding of yourself and a more peaceful, fulfilling way of living. What if jealousy is a sign of misaligned priorities? When we feel envious of others, it's often because we've lost sight of what truly matters to us. The Stoics believed that living with purpose is one of the most powerful antidotes to envy. Epictetus, one of their most influential teachers, put it this way: first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. His words remind us that clarity of purpose is the foundation of a fulfilling life. When we know what we stand for and where we're headed, the successes of others no longer feel like threats. They become irrelevant to our own journey. Purpose, in other words, is the anchor that keeps us steady, even when the waves of comparison and jealousy try to pull us under. Think about it. Jealousy often arises when we're chasing things that don't align with our deeper values. Maybe it's the desire for a flashy job title, a bigger house, or more social media followers. These external markers of success can feel important in the moment, but they rarely bring lasting fulfillment. The Stoics taught that true satisfaction comes from living in alignment with our principles, from pursuing goals that resonate with who we are and what we believe in. When we're grounded in purpose, we're less likely to feel threatened by others' achievements because we're too busy focusing on what truly matters to us. Take, for example, someone who dedicates their life to helping others. Imagine a teacher who finds joy in seeing their students grow, or an artist who creates to express their truth. For them, external recognition might be nice, but it's not the driving force behind their work. Their sense of purpose comes from within, from knowing that they're contributing to something larger than themselves. When we live this way, jealousy has little room to take root. Instead of measuring ourselves against others, we're focused on the impact we're making and the values we're upholding. So, how can you align your actions with your purpose? Start by asking yourself, what truly matters to me? What kind of person do I want to be? And what kind of life do I want to live? These questions might not have easy answers, but they're worth exploring. When you're clear about your purpose, decisions become easier, priorities become clearer, and jealousy loses its grip. The Stoics remind us that life is too short to waste on superficial comparisons. It's meant to be lived with intention, guided by what we value most. By aligning your actions with your purpose, you're not just overcoming jealousy, you're creating a life of meaning, one step at a time. As we wrap up our exploration of jealousy through the lens of Stoicism, let's take a moment to reflect on the key principles we've uncovered. At the heart of Stoic thought lies the dichotomy of control, the idea that while we can't control external events or the successes of others, we can control how we respond. This simple yet profound truth reminds us that jealousy, like all emotions, is rooted in our judgments, not in the world around us. By focusing on what's within our power, our thoughts, actions, and growth, we reclaim the ability to navigate envy with clarity and purpose. We've also explored the transformative power of gratitude. When we shift our focus from what we lack to what we already possess, jealousy begins to lose its grip. Gratitude isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's a mindset, a way of seeing the world that fosters resilience and inner peace. And then there's self-awareness, the cornerstone of emotional mastery. By understanding the triggers and beliefs behind our jealousy, we can begin to untangle its roots and respond with intention rather than reactivity. These principles, control, gratitude, and self-awareness, aren't just abstract ideas. They're tools we can use every day to build a life of meaning and contentment. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His words remind us that true peace comes from within, from mastering our thoughts and aligning our actions with our values. Jealousy, then, isn't a life sentence, it's a choice, one we can overcome through Stoic thought and self-reflection. By practicing these principles, we can transform envy from a source of pain into an opportunity for growth. So, how can you take these ideas and apply them in your own life? Start small. Consider keeping a journal to reflect on moments when jealousy arises. What triggered it? What thoughts or beliefs were at play? Over time, this practice will help you uncover patterns and develop a deeper understanding of yourself. You might also try incorporating daily reflection, taking a few moments each evening to review your day and identify areas where you can grow. These simple habits can have a profound impact, helping you build emotional resilience and live with greater clarity and purpose. Before we close, I'd love to hear from you. How has Stoicism helped you navigate jealousy or other challenging emotions? What practices have you found most helpful? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm always inspired by your insights. And if you're new to Stoicism or found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more wisdom on living a meaningful, resilient life. Together, let's continue this journey of growth one step at a time. Remember, the power to overcome jealousy and to live with peace and purpose is already within you. All it takes is the courage